Coming up next on Eyewitness News, pamphlets for Ku Klux Klan membership given out in Queens and more polyps removed from President Reagan's colon.
Plus, Oral Roberts claims he has raised people from the dead. Those stories and more next on Eyewitness News.
For years, people have been stopping off on their way to parties to buy the original wine cooler. Now you too can buy that original blend. California Cooler. No assembly required.
It's touch and go, but you're thinking about those Mars roasted almonds. You're looking for that little reward. Yeah, you're hanging on 'cause you're dreaming about that Mars buttery caramel. You've got your mind on a Mars.
A Mars bar makes it all worthwhile.
You've earned your Mars bar, one great little reward.
Hey, Professor! I thought only students fell asleep in your class. Just trying to get these finals graded? You ought to revive with Vibrant. Oh, Vibrant? Helps wake you up.
Government-appointed experts confirm Vibrant's safe and effective.
Revive with Vibrant.
Ice cream is scrumptious.
Ice cream?
Oh, and it crunches.
Ice cream.
That's why I love Nestle Crunch.
Nestle Crunch ice cream bars are scrumptious.
That's why we love Nestle Crunch.
Kurt Russell and Mariel Hemingway, The Mean Season, tonight.
You're watching Channel 7, Eyewitness News. With Ernie Anastas and Katie Tong, Eli Zaret has sports, Storm Field with weather, and the Eyewitness News team. Now, Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm John Marler. Ross Abrams and I are sitting in tonight for Ernie Anastas and Katie Tong. Here's what's happening. In this city that has more than its share of racial tension, there is an added element tonight. Apparently, there is an effort in Queens to recruit members for the Ku Klux Klan. Jim Dillon reports tonight the message is being left on people's cars.
The pamphlet found on windows this morning says that after the Civil War, the Ku Klux Klan movement, quote, provided for the white people the leadership and rallying point to begin their arduous struggle to regain their lost dignity. It says that the White Knights ain't, the pamphlet says ain't, an open membership organization, as if that needed to be stressed. Only white, non-Jewish persons apparently need apply. And then it goes on to say that the white and non-white races must be separated, and all interracial marriages must be stopped. To find such a pamphlet was, to say the least, a rude awakening.
There's so much pollution that you receive in a daytime that, you know, in your mind, that hits you in different ways, that to hit me first thing in the morning, it was pretty devastating. It was rather frightening.
It is hardly a hotbed of racial tension, 32nd Street in Astoria. Blacks generally get along in the predominantly white neighborhood. And the feeling we got from the people we spoke with tonight is that if the KKK is looking for members or looking for trouble, they may have come to the wrong place. Do you find white people here to be anti-black?
No, not at all. It's a good mixture here.
It's all up to them.
Yeah?
You know, I mean, like anybody could come here and brainwash anybody, you know, if they want to believe what they want to believe. I guess if they're going to go that way.
As it stands, pretty peaceful neighborhood?
I'm here.
Jim Dolan, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News tonight has learned police believe they have cracked a combination kidnapping and double homicide. 12 people, all believed to be members of an Asian gang, have been arrested in Queens. It is the case of 2 young Asian men who were kidnapped from a Queens bowling alley on New Year's Day. Exactly 3 months later, their bodies were found floating in the Sawmill River near Ardsley in Westchester County. County police say they cracked the case in a joint investigation with New York police. The 12 suspects charged with murder will be arraigned tomorrow morning in Ardsley. After that, police say they will release more details.
A rapist and serial killer could become the first person to die in Connecticut's electric chair in more than 25 years. 27-year-old Michael Ross was given the death sentence tonight by the jury that convicted him of strangling 4 young women. He also confessed that he raped 3 of the victims. The jury rejected the argument that Ross's life should be spared because he is mentally ill. He was already serving 120 years for the murders of 2 other women. Supreme Court Justice Lewis Powell announced today that he is retiring from the nation's highest court. The announcement was such a surprise that the White House didn't even know about it until this morning. During a hastily called news conference, Justice Powell said his controlling opinion in the much-heralded Bakke case was a highlight of his years on the court.
I think for the most part I've had interesting cases to write. I've never really focused sharply on the case that I thought was the most important. I think Bakke could well have been. You're familiar with that. That was the first affirmative action case the court had that really put the issue squarely to the court.
Powell will be 80 years old in September and has recently suffered from cancer. His departure gives President Reagan a chance to alter the court's ideological balance.
There was another scare for President Reagan today. 2 small polyps were found and removed from the president's colon during a routine examination. Word of that procedure came from the president's chief of staff.
2 small, benign-appearing polyps were discovered and removed and will be subjected to microscopic pathologic analysis.
After the procedure, the president was up and about, but he did walk slower than usual as he left for his Camp David weekend retreat. The president has a history of polyps, but most of them have not been malignant. Dr. Jay Adlersberg tells us more about Mr. Reagan's medical problems.
This is only the latest large intestine examination for the president. During each evaluation, a long, flexible telescope called a colonoscope is passed through the rectum and around the 6 feet of the colon. Doctors look for polyps, growths from the wall of the hollow area through which waste pass. In July of 1983, doctors found a 2-inch polyp which contained an area of cancer. It was removed along with several feet of the president's colon. Since then, in January of 1986 and 87, several more non-cancerous small polyps were removed during follow-up exams. This is not really unusual. About half the people who are found to have 1 polyp will develop others over the next 10 years. And the smaller they are, the less likely they are to be malignant. The president has these frequent examinations to remove small polyps before they can become cancerous. But doctors will examine these 2 small polyps under the microscope to make sure no cancer cells are present. By the way, it is extremely unlikely that any of these small polyps are related to the president's previous colon cancer. This is Dr. Jay Adlersberg, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
President Reagan also had a routine prostate exam today, a follow-up to his surgery of January. Doctors say that Mr. Reagan's prostate is normal, and they say he is in excellent health. Ross?
Also tonight, a Bronx rabbi who just returned from Vatican demonstrations protesting the Pope's meeting with the President of Austria calls for the release of any information involving the Vatican and the Holocaust. Rabbi Avi Weiss said that the U.S. government has several damaging documents.
The reality is that during the Holocaust, the Vatican was guilty of many sins of omission. The Vatican was asked to intercede on behalf of many Jews and refused to do so.
Weiss said he will ask the United States government and several of its agencies to release all documents related to what the Vatican did and did not do during the Holocaust. The controversial Rome visit of Kurt Waldheim ended tonight, but not before the Austrian president did some sightseeing. Before returning home to Austria, Waldheim toured Santa Maria Church, a church with close ties to the Austrian Republic. In Korea, a peaceful attempt to get government leaders to make good on their promise for free elections has failed today. A grand march for democratic reforms erupted into riots when opposition leader Kim Young-sam was arrested as soon as the demonstration began. 50,000 protesters clashed with 60,000 police during the evening rush hour, catching thousands of office workers in a barrage of tear gas. Rioting then spread to some 36 cities outside of Seoul. Police say almost 3,500 protesters were arrested and nearly 600 police officers were injured. We have a lot more ahead for you tonight on Eyewitness News. Coming up, fire in the sky. A plane crashes in a Boston neighborhood.
Plus, evangelist Oral Roberts claims he's raised people from the dead. And the dog who stuck his neck out in the fight against crime.
Something special is arriving. A remarkable car, available at a remarkable price. Because your local dealer has special factory incentives to make exceptional deals. The car is the German-engineered Audi 4000, and it's priced to bring first-class travel down to earth. Now get great deals plus free scheduled maintenance on your new Audi 4000 for 3 years or 40,000 miles.
Why are we doing this again? Just spread the word.
Power 95's Jim Kerr and Howard the cab driver are about to hit the airwaves over New York.
Where do I ride? On the wing?
Wow! They're out to spread the word about the most music you'll hear on Power 95.
Hey, I can see my house from here.
In fact, Power 95 plays so much music.
It'll blow you away, right, Jim?
Listen and feel the power with Jim Kerr and the Morning Crew. Only on Power 95, WPLJ FM radio.
How do you treat a person with a disability?
I'm not quite sure how to deal with a disabled person.
No different from anyone else.
Treat them just as human beings.
Disabled doesn't mean non-normal. I treat them as I would treat any other human being. I should treat them probably as normal people, but with special needs.
I'm Tony Danza. United Cerebral Palsy knows there's only one answer to that question. How do you treat a person with a disability? Like a person.
The United Way can't work without you.
Give a hand, give some hope, heal a hurt, show how much you care. Get to those who really need, touch them with your heart.
The United Way reaches so many in so many ways. You really get to people the United Way.
The United Way.
With our children, the world begins again. The March of Dimes cares.
A Boston neighborhood is trying to recover tonight from an early morning plane crash that turned the neighborhood into a blazing inferno. The pilot, now identified as 21-year-old Peter Kovich, was killed. 3 people on the ground were seriously injured. The twin-engine Piper slammed into a group of row houses in the Dorchester area of Boston shortly after 1:30 this morning.
Can't go off the top of this one here. It either hit it or it bounced off.
The lanced off one house and crashed into the other.
Hit this one here. It demolished right into that one.
The plane was en route from Teterboro, New Jersey to Boston's Logan International Airport carrying banknotes and financial papers. According to the FAA, the pilot suddenly veered off course only 4 miles from the airport. Damage to the neighborhood is estimated at $2 million. Officials say it may take up to 6 months to determine the cause of the crash.
Another startling claim from television evangelist Oral Roberts. He says God told him he, Roberts, will return with Jesus to reign over the world. And he says he has raised people from the dead.
Died right while I was preaching. I had to stop and go back in the crowd and raise a dead person so I could go ahead with the service. That did increase my altar call that night.
It is a claim backed by his evangelist son.
It happens to be the lead story in the Tulsa World this morning. I've raised people from the dead, Oral claims. And the good news is they're printing the truth. Hallelujah.
There is strong reaction tonight to the claims of Oral Roberts. It comes here in New York at the headquarters of Fundamentalists Anonymous.
I think he's either a pathological liar or he's sort of a psychopath because, you know, if he were not a minister calling himself a Christian minister, he would probably get confined for saying something like this. People would think it's a psychotic outburst.
At Columbia University tonight, Dr. Randall Ballmer.
Oral Roberts has been having visions and dreaming dreams for a long time. A 700-foot Jesus appeared to him apparently a few years back, told him to build a hospital. Last year or earlier this year, he announced that God had in fact taken him hostage. And now this.
Could this be the beginning of the end of the Oral Roberts ministry?
Certainly there's going to be a hardcore of people who are going to follow him and take him seriously, but I think many people probably will not take him seriously any longer.
Dr. Ballmer is with the Religion Department at Columbia University. Incidentally, the group Fundamentalists Anonymous says it is about to launch a legal crusade that will demand accountability from television evangelists. Josh?
Hundreds of fans lined up today to pay their last respects to Jackie Gleason. We will have that story when we come back.
Also ahead, the New York hotel suite where he lived while making The Honeymooners is dedicated to his memory.
When you come to Meineke Discount Mufflers, you don't have to worry about the price.
I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
At Meineke, you won't pay a lot. We'll install the Everlast muffler you need in 30 minutes in most cases at a price you won't worry about from 18...